What is up, y'all? Another episode of the Inner Circle. It is Wednesday.
What's up? Yes, Inner Circle Day, Wednesday. As you can tell, me and Michelle are comfortable, and
Yes,
it wasn't even planned. When she came on, I was like, "Look at her! She's wearing like a pajama thing too. Like we're both comfortable at home." You
it's
know,
cold.
it is cold. It is cold. They canceled all after school activities today, and where we live for yeah, everything was canceled after a certain time because the predicted snow that we're supposed to be getting is supposed to be cold, which I will admit it is cold.
Yeah.
It is cold. Like now it feels like winter because the last couple of days it hasn't really been feeling like winter, or recently it hasn't been feeling like winter at all.
Yeah. And it's like scary because like what's really going on in this world? Because what I think on Christmas it was hot. Normally we get like snowstorms. And for my son's birthday, there's normally a snowstorm happening.
Mm.
Nope. It was so sunny. I'm like, what is going
What's up, Ashley? She said it's going to be cold this weekend in Florida again. Oof.
on with
God.
that
But at least it's not Providence, Rhode Island cold. Or you know what? It's not also Puerto Rico cold either, because Puerto Rico we know that's probably like still hot. But
Yeah.
but you know what? Since we don't know what Puerto Rico feels like, let's bring my boy tonight. That's gonna be joining us tonight. My special guest Elias. What's up?
What's up? What's up? Hi, Ashley. Finally get to meet you.
Oh, Michelle, that's right, because you weren't here last
Michelle,
time.
sorry.
Yes.
That's right. Michelle wasn't here last time when Eli was on.
I've heard great things about you from Ivan.
Yes, and she watched the episode. She was like, "Oh, I missed it." Yeah,
Yep.
it was good things. But obviously, Michelle knew also wrestling through wrestling. We all know each other, so. But but yeah, how you doing, Eli? Now talking about us being cold over here. How you doing over there in Puerto Rico?
It's good. I'm in a t-shirt and shorts, as you can see. I got my windows open, the fans on. It's about 75 degrees cool with
Damn.
about a 15 mile per hour breeze at maybe 62, 68 degrees. So it's nice. Now you know why I was dying to move back here.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing it in. We over here wearing like we were just talking about we're wearing pajamas and everything like that. You over here
Yeah.
talking about how hot it is.
I know Michelle's in Florida and it's not that cold here.
Michelle,
It's not sweater cold.
you mean Ashley? Ashley is in.
Ashley, I'm sorry.
Ashley's in Florida. Michelle's
It's
here.
okay. Puerto Rican weather over there.
Yeah, yeah. John, what's up, John? Says hi all.
Hey, John.
Yeah. So, um, something we wanted to talk about bringing Eli on here, especially when it comes to Puerto Rico. The bill that's going on. We're gonna be talking about that in a little bit. But yeah, Eli, how you been? How's everything going?
I've been good. I've been busy. I'm actually working for another federal agency temporarily. I'm in charge of the staffing for the unaccompanied minors reunification program under the Office of Refugee Reunification.
Mm,
I'm busy.
wow, that's good, but still always doing something, like environmental and humanitarian, and sounds good.
Humanitarian first, environmental second.
Goes hand in hand. We're all part of the earth. We're all part of this is all us.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, so speaking of that, of like us being all together and everything like that, there's a bill in the house currently right now passed this. It was actually introduced by the Senate, and something that you brought up to my attention is the Puerto Rico Statehood bill that's currently in Congress. Um yeah, let me bring it up.
Any
It's a
questions
it's
so
something
far? Have you
it's
heard
so-
anything about it?
it's something that's actually been brought up for a while, like a long time, like whether new Puerto Rico wanted to become a state, You know, like they want to become a state, they want to stay an independent country, because there are also pros and cons to the whole situation, as to any situation. Um, but before we get into the bill, what are some feelings that you're getting, yeah, especially you, Eli, being in Puerto Rico, from the people there, on the idea of becoming not just a United States territory, but
Well, we are a
becoming,
territory, an
huh?
official state. You mean?
No,
You
no,
mean
but
an official state?
I mean not just being like a territory like of the United States, but also like how they feel about becoming like a state.
So this is what a lot of Puerto Ricans that weren't born here on the island don't know, right? Puerto Rico has been a U.S. territory for just under 150 years, maybe just a little over 150 years. September 25th, 1898 was when the American generals came into San Juan and they told the Spanish general either turn over the island or we'll kill everyone in El Morro. And history was made. Anyway, so for the past 30 years, I remember when I was a teenager in the 90s, I had a plebiscite on the status of Puerto Rico. And back then in the 90s, it was between statehood and staying as they were, which is a commonwealth, right? Right now, we're considered a commonwealth. Now, mind you, there are 5 other commonwealths in the United States: the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I'm missing one. I always miss one. Okay. So throughout the process, you know, they voted and against. And when they voted for statehood, what the local winning party would do is they would take that vote and try to break it down so that it never happened. Mm. So like that vote was just a vote just to waste federal electoral commission's money. Yep. So the difference with this bill, it comes back from a bill back in 2012. It falls under, let me get this right, it falls under House Resolution 987. That's in part of the congressional record published on December 15th, 2022. You go on congress.gov and check out the congressional record, and you're going to find a document that starts with the phrase Puerto Rico Status Act. Mr. Grijalva, who is the Secretary of Agriculture, is the congressman who is allowed to speak for the people of Puerto Rico to Congress. Mm. Now, mind you, he's a congressman from Arizona. I know that makes no sense, but that's the way it's
at least Florida or something, but Arizona.
So, well, we're gonna get to that in a minute.
All right.
We're gonna get to that in a minute. So what happens is, this is the important thing. If President Biden signs this bill into law, so what's going to happen is, before this gets signed into law, is we're going to have another plebiscite here in November of this year. November 5th is election day this year. Mm. Okay, so we're going to have a plebiscite to find out which status are they going to choose. Are they going to choose statehood, sovereign independent nation, or independence? I tell you right now, if Puerto Rico becomes an independent, we're going to have a hard time getting back up into the world markets. Yep. Because everything that was here belongs to the United States. The U.S. corporations came in and they just wiped everything out. Are they going to choose? There is farmland, there is farming here, there is agriculture here, but we can't export anything. It stays in the U.S. Reserve. Yep. That makes sense?
No,
it doesn't.
Not at all.
So that's what's going to happen. Now, I believe, and I've read this bill, I've read that resolution. I've always wanted Puerto Rico to become a state because I want to be able to share the same rights that you do. Mm. Like right now, this moment, I don't have the same rights you do, Ashley or Ivan. I don't have those rights. They consider Puerto Ricans on the island second-class citizens. Why?
in what sense? Like describe that more.
In
Like
what
what?
sense? Because to some folks, Puerto Rico is a third world country still,
Okay.
and it's not. That's what they haven't seen yet. Okay, so part of the project I'm working on, I get to work with folks from all over the world. The auditor or the accountant for Space Force is Puerto Rican.
Okay.
The investigators for the Department of Defense, the chief investigators, that they're the ones who go looking through every nook and cranny.
Yep.
I met them today. 5 of them are Puerto Rican. So we're everywhere.
No, you are.
We're everywhere in government where we need to be.
And
Okay?
actually even in the bill that was proposed, they actually list some of those achievements or like statuses that Puerto Ricans hold within
Correct.
within the United States, like
Correct.
just basically showing the contribution that Puerto Ricans, the Boricuas, have or have been giving towards the United States. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say?
Besides a member of the active Supreme Court, we've had 2 U.S. Surgeon Generals. We've had 2 Puerto Ricans be Surgeon Generals of the United States.
Yep.
We have one that's the Secretary of Education.
Yep.
And I could name all the other subsecretaries that I know that are Puerto Rican, but we'll be here all day. That is not what this is for. So back to the bill. I recommend everyone read this because the important parts of the bill are when you select your choice. For example, when you select for a sovereign nation, right?
Yep.
It'll say, hold on, I have it right here in front of me. For example, we'll go with independence. If you agree to independence and the people of Puerto Rico agree to independence, now check out the language in this bill.
Yep.
It says, Puerto Rico is a sovereign nation that has full authority and responsibility over its territory and population under a constitution of its own. That means we would have to create our own constitution. We don't. The one we have was created by the U.S. government back in the early 19th century.
Yep.
And it's in null and void. It'll be null and void. So we won't have a constitution. Then it says, and they will, which they will adopt as the Supreme Court, as the supreme law of the land. Puerto Rico will be fully vested with full powers and responsibility consistent to the rights and responsibilities that devolve upon a sovereign trade. First of all, we would have to create our own money again. Or we would have to accept, they're going to force on Puerto Rico to use the American dollar like they do in Chile and in Peru and all those other countries that we have liaisons with and embassies in.
All right.
Okay, that's a lot of folks don't see that.
All right.
It says Puerto Rico has full authority over its citizenship and immigration laws and birth in Puerto Rico. So if Puerto Rico becomes an independent nation today, and you were born today, tomorrow you need to apply for full immigration status.
Yep, because you no longer would be a citizen.
Yes, ma'am. You will no longer be that person born is no longer a citizen of the United States.
Because of the change in status.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's independent. Just knowing that alone, looking at your face, you're like, nah. I don't want,
No, but
how hard it is to get into the United States.
But that wouldn't affect anybody alive right now or today.
That would not affect anyone prior to the date of the proclamation being signed by the president. So if the president signed it today, and a year from now today, it's fully vested. Guess what, Michelle? If your kid was born in Puerto Rico, he's an illegal alien. If you take it, you can't take him anywhere.
That's sad.
That's if we become an independent nation and a sovereign independent nation.
Yeah,
it goes for both. So then it goes.
So hold on a second.
Will no longer be a possession of the United States. for purposes of the IRS code, okay, they're going to have to come up with their own IRS tax law, which is already screwing us. That's why we're in debt and we're paying 11.5% sales tax, the highest in the United States. Okay.
Where are you reading from so I can show everybody?
I'm reading from
I'm at the bill right now.
I'm reading from the Congressional Record, H9986.
All right,
because that's where it's basically broken down so plain Jane can understand it.
All right, so yeah, so you can say that part, and then I'll show everybody the bill, and we'll go through the bill, and
absolutely
we'll move on from there. And then Michelle, just in case, because I know Michelle has to work early. Michelle, you give me the thumbs up like this. You go like this, and I know, and then I'll and then when I give a thumbs up, you're good. All right.
Oh.
You know, women know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Some inner circle conversation.
So here we go. So part of the sovereign independent nation, Section D says United States citizens and United States businesses in the nation of Puerto Rico will be subject to United States federal tax laws, as is the case of any other United States citizen or business, and to Puerto Rican tax laws. Now, mind you, we already pay federal tax and we pay Puerto Rico tax, but the Puerto Rico tax is going to kill the middle class.
Oh yeah, because it's gonna be.
And then the section E, the last section says the Constitution and laws of the United States no longer apply in Puerto Rico, and the United States sovereignty in Puerto Rico is ended.
Pretty much, yeah.
So that means that the National Guard leaves, the Reserve leaves, any active duty military leaves Puerto Rico.
Anybody can invade you. You're on your own.
$10 to $20 million in economic influx per year.
You can be invaded. You have no protection. Anybody can take over. But
so that's just. Go ahead.
When they went to Puerto Rico to take all our fruits and all that other stuff, that's why they called it Puerto Rico, which is the rich port, and taking all our stuff.
Well, there's actually a deeper history on how we got that name. It's actually Spanish. It's in Spanish history books on how Puerto Rico got that name. So
actually, I see a message.
It was the Spanish. It was the Spanish and the Dutch that gave the island that name because they couldn't pronounce Borinquen.
Oh wow.
Borinquen. They're like, what? Not Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Poor, but they're good. Beautiful women, beautiful men. Yeah, Puerto Rico.
Rico's a sovereign nation. Articles of Free Association. So yeah, so if they become a sovereign free nation, they need to come up with their own constitution, with their own law books, right? Now, mind you, they still have laws from the old Spanish colonial times that on the law books that they enforce. Like, you can't tie a horse in front of your house on a main road. That's what some people do.
They tie that horse right in front of their house because I own that bitch.
Unless the cops tell them to move, they ain't doing it.
Eli, real quick before we go, Richie's here saying what's up, Richie.
Hi, Richie. So then we go under the Sovereignty and Free Association, Section C. It says Puerto Rico has full authority and responsibility over its citizenship. The United States citizens have the right to retain nationality and citizen. We have the right to retain for life of entitlement or election as provided by federal law. So if we become a free sovereign nation, we can retain our natural citizenship.
Can you break that down for people that don't?
You can fly to Puerto Rico, Michelle, Ashley, and Ivan, and have your kids in Puerto Rico and say, my kids are Puerto Rican for real.
Yep.
And not have to worry about immigration status. So then it goes on to Section E. So this is important. Section
one
D,
more time. What's the bill name? I'm trying to find it.
I'm in the Congressional Record. So if you're on Congress.gov.
Yep, I am. I'm in the
Look up, go to the Congressional Record site.
Yep, that's where I'm at right now.
And look up the one for December, House H9867.
H98
67.
67. H9867. Okay.
You got it?
Go ahead.
I'm on the first page, the third column, about 3/4 of the way down, where it says sovereignty in free association with the United States. If you agree, mark here. Okay. That's exactly how it's going to show up on the ballot.
Okay.
And it's going to explain to everyone in Spanish and in English what would be a sovereignty with free association. And I'm on section D, where it says, and this is in black and white, I am not kidding you, birth in Puerto Rico shall cease to be basis for United States nationality or citizenship. Again, if we fall under a sovereign nation, anyone born the day after the proclamation is not a U.S. citizen.
That's so stupid.
So that's already two indications that you need the right choice is coming up, right?
Yep.
So section E in that same column says Puerto Rico enters into articles of free association with the United States. That's another 10-year process with such devolution and reservation of governmental functions and other bilateral arrangements as be agreed upon by both parties under the articles, which shall be terminable by at will either the United States or the Puerto Rico government at any time. So they're going to come to an agreement that Puerto Rico will continue to work with the United States, but at any time they can say "afangula manage" and see you later.
I'm guessing that's nothing nice.
No, that is not nice. Are those Italians that know what that means? They're probably sitting back laughing their pants off.
Oh, man.
Section F goes on to say, Puerto Rico will no longer be a possession of the United States, will no longer, for purposes of IRS, Puerto Rico's status as an independent sovereign nation will be the controlling factor in taxation for Puerto Rican taxpayers. Really?
Wow.
Really?
How much are you guys paying in taxes now? You guys must be like...
Let's just say when you go to fill out your W-4 at work, you have two options. You can set a price to pay, or you can just say, take the maximum out and I'll wait for I hope I get a refund at the end of the year. Wow. You know what Eli does, right? Take the maximum out.
Yeah.
Because I want a refund.
Yeah.
So section F. So section F, about halfway down, it says, in addition to Puerto Rico will enter into an agreement with the United States to provide sovereignty and free association between two nations. This agreement may modify the otherwise applicable tax rules subject to negotiations and ratification by two nations. Do you really think the United States wants to give up I think it's $700 or $800 million a year they get from the people of Puerto Rico in taxes?
No.
Not including the excise tax and exportation tax on alcohol and beer? Next.
Nah. They would never do that. The United States give money away? Nah.
No. So then when it says if for statehood, check here, it's like 4 quick paragraphs. The state of Puerto Rico is admitted into the union on equal footing with the other states in all respects, whatever, and is part of permanent union of the United States. It goes on to say, by the Constitution of the states and reserved as the state of Puerto Rico and its residents. The residents of Puerto Rico are fully self-governing with their rights. That's been happening since 1952. but they didn't want to recognize that. Section C goes on to say U.S. citizenship of those born in Puerto Rico is recognized, protected, and secured under the Constitution of the United States. That's kind of a giveaway, right?
Yep.
Wait, it gets better. So then it says Puerto Rico will no longer be a possession of the United States for purpose of the IRS code, and Puerto Rico will become an equal footing to each of the current 50 states in the United States. Individuals and businesses residents in the state of Puerto Rico will be subjected to U.S. federal taxes, which we already pay now, and that is it. So notice that statehood has 4 blocks, sovereignty has 9 blocks, and independence has 6 blocks. So they made it really simple to choose. And from what you understand, and you tell me if I'm wrong,
yep.
If you lived in Puerto Rico, no matter what the political situation is, you understand that being a state, you'll be better off.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah, because I mean, you get the same privilege as like any other state. You know, the same protections, the same.
So, here's what Puerto Rico doesn't have. You ready? Puerto Rico doesn't have an FBI. Puerto Rico doesn't have a legal Department of Justice. What I mean by legal is there's so much corruption going on there. You don't know who's stealing from who and who's killing who, and we don't have that. So we need our DOJ reorganized. We need our police force reorganized.
Yep.
So by being accepted as a state, they can have access to more of this money, which is our tax dollar that we give to the government for these specific reasons.
Yeah.
Because you don't pay taxes just to pay taxes, right? It goes to something. It goes to police, fire, medical, and any primary services the municipality is supposed to pay, is supposed to care for. So, but this record, we can talk about this for weeks. But I wanted to point out those 3 important things. We and the people of Puerto Rico, we're not struggling. As you can see, we survived the Hurricane Maria. Yep. We provided for ourselves as best we could. We are resilient people. We've been around for over 1,000 years. Started as Taínos, and we're still here.
I've always said if the United States was to, like, you know, the hurricane went to the United States, they wouldn't know how to survive like Puerto Ricans do. And not only just Puerto Ricans, but just people from other countries, and how they learn to actually like maneuver around how to get water. Over here, it's like, oh my God, I have no water. What am I going to do?
So you can compare Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Sandy in New York to one Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. How long did it take them to get back on their feet? Couple of weeks, couple of months. It took us 9 months to get power to my house, and I live 15 minutes from the power generation station.
Wow. See, had you guys been a state, you would have gotten more help, more assistance,
faster, with less loopholes, with all of that stuff,
and that's
less red tape and all that.
And that's what I'm in disagreement. I mean, that's what I'm in, like, what gets me is because you guys pay taxes, you know, like Puerto Ricans pay taxes and everything like that. As an island, you should have the same, you know, priority, or like, you know what I'm saying, like you were saying, like you would get faster response if we were a state, you know, like, no, they're taxpayers as well. They should get the same response. You know, they contribute to the economy, you know, and to our tax revenue. But looking to change that, we have some in the Senate. It's introduced by Senate Heinrich from New Mexico. In the Senate. The Senate Committee of Energy and Natural Resources, they're introducing 780, which is the Puerto Rico Statehood Admission Act.
The reason why that's going in conjunction with the bill that we're talking about, because once we get accepted as a full-fledged state, then that money is allocated and starts flowing to the island for the projects it's needed for. That's all bureaucratic. It has to be done. It's part of it.
So yeah, so this is the bill, and like Eli pointed out, you can always find this on Congress.gov. That's where you can find any legislative any bills put forward in the Congress, which I suggest everybody get familiar with and get to know exactly what's going on in your states and country and island. So this is bill S790. I'm not gonna go into the history. Eli went a lot through the history of it, but the findings right here. It says the Congress findings are the following: the United States national sovereignty in Puerto Rico was established by a Treaty of Paris between the United States and the Kingdom of Spain. So it's basically giving you a history of the things that Eli was pointing out. We're gonna scroll down to the admission where it says, subject to the provision of this act, meaning if it's passed, upon the issuance of the proclamation required by Section 7C, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico is hereby declared to be a state of the United States of America, and such shall be declared admitted into the Union as an equal footing with other states in all respect. So they would gain senators, they would gain people in this Congress that would represent them, kind of like Hawaii. You know, we have Hawaii has a representative because Hawaii is pretty much a statehood. So
I'm glad you brought that up.
It would be something like Hawaii.
So the Virgin Islands have a senator. They have a congressperson.
Yeah.
I met her. So what happens is this is why Puerto Rico is a hot topic, because once it gets through that hurdle of becoming a state, now they have to assign congressmen and senators, right? Yeah. So the way it's done is the number of congressmen and the number of senators is done by population density.
Yep.
So if you go to the FEC.gov page, this Federal Election Commission, and you start researching the communities on how Puerto Rico has 3.5 million citizens, right?
Yep.
So the closest state that has representation for that many people is the state of Nevada. So go to the state of Nevada and tell me how many senators they have. I believe it's 4.
1 second, let me check. What is it, Nevada?
Nevada, yeah.
Nevada. Let's see how many senators they have. You said senators?
Senators. How many senators do they have?
I hear those coquí, and I don't know if anybody else can hear them, but I can hear them.
So jealous. I'm just like so jealous every time I get.
I'm like, cookie.
So right on Congress. So let me guide you. Right on Congress.gov, there's a find your member of Congress, senators. Yep. You can click on senators, and then click on the state.
So Nevada has two senators.
So we will get 2 senators.
2 senators.
Figure out
and 4
how many congressmen.
So they have 4 representatives
in Congress. So that is another 6 seats, either for the Democrat or the Republican Party. So why is that a problem? Because Puerto Rico, believe it or not, is a blue state.
It's not a state yet.
Okay, it's a blue territory. We always vote Democratic for the people and Republican for the, should I say, big money.
Oh, right? What?
That's how they do it here. So what happens is, and here's another thing is that these people here on the island don't know, is if Puerto Rico becomes a state, guess what happens to the 2 local parties, the 2 major parties? They have to change the name because they have to fall under the national Election Commission.
Mm.
So that the blue party, which is the PNP party, Partido Nuevo Progresista, which is supposedly the Democratic Party, actually falls under the GOP. As you were, the Republican Party falls under the Democratic mission, and the Democratic Party falls under the Republican mission. So there's about 3.
So they're backwards over there.
Political parties in Puerto Rico. One of them is the PNP, and the other one is the PPW, the Partido Popular Democrático, the Popular Democratic Party, and the New Progressive Party. So when it becomes a state, they have to reorganize. Guess what happens to all their backdoor dealings and all their pork barrel money that they hide in projects that they don't use until the end of the year, so they can pocket that money. This is how these people work. I've worked
where, in Puerto Rico or here?
Before. Everywhere. But in Puerto Rico, that's what they do, is they take the big ticket money and they put it in pork barrel projects so that they can literally get kickbacks from those projects. When that happened, they can't do that anymore, because who monitors the parties on the island? The Federal Election Commission, because they have to, because it's a state. Right now we only have an election observer, which he could be given an envelope with $100,000 and say, just close your eyes and keep on walking.
Yeah.
Right?
Basically.
That's the difference. That's the difference in our society. We don't fall under Federal Election Commission standards, only state election commission standards, because none of our elections are recognized federally except this lady, Jennifer Gonzalez, the resident commissioner, because she has a voice in Washington, and she really doesn't. She just pretty much says, hey, Congressman Grijalva, I need your help.
She thinks she has a voice.
She thinks she has a voice.
Ain't nobody listen to you.
So,
but John said, what did John say? He said that was the same thing under Abe Lincoln, who a Republican was closer to being a Democrat.
True. Very true. Very true.
So, all right. So back to this. So what will happen? Constitutional wise, physical territory. So Section 4, physical territory. The state of Puerto Rico shall consist of all islands together with their abundant reefs, seafloor, territorial waters, and seaward boundaries, presently under the jurisdiction of territory of Puerto Rico. So basically saying everything, including its waters, reefs, everything. Everything comes.
That hasn't changed in 1,000 years.
That comes.
Like no one's tried to attack Puerto Rico besides the Dutch, the French, the English. Did you know that Sir William Drake actually tried to Francis Drake attacked Puerto Rico twice and lost?
Oh yeah.
Sir Francis Drake?
No.
Yep.
Oh.
So in Blackbeard the pirate, he tried to attack Puerto Rico. Oh yeah. Oh you guys need to pick up a history book in Puerto Rico. You'll be shocked.
Like history class over here for me.
You'll be shocked.
I know. You can get credit. Watch us right now. Use this in the project.
The town I live in is called Dorado. Yeah. And back in the Spanish colonial time, for a town to be incorporated, you have to have 3 things. You have to have a plaza, a church, and a city hall, all in the same spot, facing either north to south or east to west. So when you come to any town in Puerto Rico, if you look in the town, you're going to see a plaza, a church, and somewhere in the town, a city hall. Without that, it cannot be a city hall. So back to Dorado. Dorado was founded by 3 African slaves.
Wow.
So yeah, African history runs deep in our bloods too.
Yeah.
And if you go to Ponce, they have the statues of the slaves coming off the ships in chains. That give reverence to the Emancipation Proclamation. Oh yeah. Go ahead, Ivan.
Oh no, so no. Go ahead,
I,
Michelle. What are you saying?
I think we need to take a trip to Puerto Rico.
Yes, I am so down for that. I am so
A
down.
little history tour, a historical tour.
I've been actually dying to go. I've been like thinking like, damn, I really have to go. I haven't been in so long.
So let me know. I have 2 empty. Actually, my office, I'm going to turn into a bedroom, and I'm going to move my office downstairs to another room in my house. So I have 2 empty rooms in my house.
I just in September to Puerto Rico, and I went to Vieques. I haven't been to Vieques, but my grandmother.
I haven't been to Vieques, so
No?
I haven't been there yet.
My mom neither. My mom was born and raised there, and then she came over here. She came over here when she was born in Rio Piedra. She came over here when she was like 26, 27. Never went to Vieques, and that's where her mom is from Vieques.
Okay.
It was beautiful. Vieques was beautiful.
Oh, Vieques is awesome. You have to take a boat or a plane to get there.
Yeah.
Amazing. No, Ivan, you laugh. I'm serious.
I haven't been there. What about Culebras? I heard it's good. You gotta take a boat to Culebras too.
Oh yeah, I've been there plenty of times.
I haven't been to Culebras.
It costs $2.50 to go to Culebra.
What?
And Culebra has one of the top 3 beaches in the world.
And it only takes $2 to get there.
$2 to get there. $5 round trip.
Isn't it all right? So I saw a video. I forgot. I saw a video. Like, I don't know if it was on YouTube or something. There's a beach where it has like little glow things, like the blue light things in the water.
Okay, so in Puerto Rico we have 3 of the 7 bioluminescent bays in the world. 3 of them are in 3 or 4 of them are in Puerto Rico.
Hold on.
I think there's 2 in Fajardo, 1 in Vieques, and 1 in Guanica.
I'm gonna show
you.
The
other ones are in Hawaii.
Yeah, I went to Fajardo and did the boat tour in one of the bioluminescent bays, and then when I went to Vieques, I went to what is it called? Playa Negra. Oh my gosh, crazy!
I've never been there, but I've been Playa Negra. The sand is black. It's volcanic sand.
Yes, and it's like if you put your phone next to the sand, like you'll catch all the like materials or I don't know minerals that are in there.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
So it's in Vieques or something like that, the glow in the dark like beach?
No, listen to me.
Yeah,
there's 1 in Guanica.
Okay.
Right in La Palguera.
Yep.
There's 2 in Fajardo because there's 2 spots in Fajardo, and there's 1 in Vieques. There's 7 of those bays in the world. Puerto Rico has 4 of them, I believe.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm showing pictures of it right now on the screen. So
think about it. That's my backyard. I could drive there and do that now if I wanted.
Oof, that's a nice little date. Be like, yo, what's up? Let's go to the beach.
During COVID, you know how many people went to jail for going out at night?
Wow, you're not supposed to go out at night?
Not during the pandemic when it first started. They had a curfew. If you were on the road after 10:30 at night, you'd get a ticket. If they catch you again, you were going to jail.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom was.
We don't play that here in Puerto Rico, man. We don't play that.
Yeah, my uncle was telling me that they're very strict. They were very strict when it came to COVID.
Oh yes.
Oh God.
Oh yes. So that bill, right? HR 9873 on page 2.
Hold on.
The last column.
I gotta go back to it. Hold on.
Yep.
So what? Page 2? I don't have pages. Tell me section.
It's the following page. I'm sorry. Go to the 3rd page.
So 3rd page. Which one? Titles.
No. I'm going on the 3rd. Let me see. I'm on the PDF. Let me make sure I'm on the right page. Page 2 talks about management and oversight. Page 3 is 9869.
I'm on the bill. On the bill that's introduced.
Well, that one that you're looking at is an amendment.
Yep.
They actually corrected some language. Go back to the Congressional Record 9870. right?
Hold on.
And then there's gonna
90, 98, 70.
70. So I'm trying to figure out what page I'm on. Okay. 9870 should be a like a 16-page document, right?
Yep, go ahead.
So page 7, the middle column talks about the natural resources and this, that, and the other. You go down and it talks about PREPA. Talks about the resident commissioner, what happens to the resident commissioner, Governor Pierluisi, and all that, blah, blah, blah. So the next column over actually talks about what you were talking about, Michelle was talking about, was the Puerto Rico energy issue and what's called PROMESA, which we call the Fiscal Control Board. They're the ones who tell us how much we can spend and how much we can't spend.
Yep.
So PREPA is the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority. If you look in that, it will tell you, which is the bill you're reading now.
Yep.
The bill you're reading now. That's what they needed to add to the Puerto Rico status bill. That's why I went to the congressional record, because it's more accurate and you don't have to go searching through all these different laws and bills and all this other stuff. It's all there. So when we go to it, says, Madam Speaker, from Mr. Westerman, Madam Speaker, introduced in July 2022, H.R. 8393, the Puerto Rico Status Act would authorize a federally sponsored plebiscite to occur in November 2023. Hello, that's this year. That would allow the voters of Puerto Rico to make 3 choices: independent, sovereignty, and free association, or statehood. If one option receives a majority of the vote, which is 51% or more, if no one option receives more than the majority of the vote, there will be a runoff in March of 2024. Ain't gonna be no fucking runoff. Pardon my language, Ivan.
That's okay.
Okay. So the Committee on Natural Resources, they're the folks who have the future of Puerto Rico in their hands. That's who we report to as a government, not Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Congressman or Senator Nilda, what's her name, the one who likes drinking beer. And none of those guys. So, but yeah, on page 8 is going to go on the reasons why the people of Puerto Rico should be. So let me tell you a little bit something about this congressional record document.
All right.
So this document,
we're going to go into the Biden conversation with the documents. I hope we will auto transition later on. But let's go ahead.
So the congressional record document is a legal document of any and all actions that have been completed or are pending from Congress, and they are for the president's review. So this is a legal document that Congress puts together at the end of the day, and first thing in the morning they put it in the president's briefing, because he needs to know what Congress passed and didn't pass the night before.
Yep.
This is the Bible for the White House aides to get shit done. I found that out like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So that's why I went to the congressional record and the House bill or the House law, because as you can see, it's just needs to be signed by the president.
Do you think? Well, did it already pass?
It's coming.
Did it already pass the House? Because
it's already that first bill already passed the House and Senate. It's waiting to become law.
Oh wow! So it's like. It's gonna happen no matter what.
It's in the stack of paperwork that President Biden has to sign within the next 2 months in order to make that happen.
So go ahead. So
that money's already been allocated.
So you're pretty much saying that within the next couple months, Puerto Rico could be a state.
Very, very strong possibility.
Wow. So what does that do? What does that do to the Puerto Rican flag? What does that do to the Puerto Rican like?
Doesn't it? No, it doesn't change. It stays the same.
Does Hawaii
It's
have their
actually,
Does Hawaii have
it's
their own
actually, it's
flag?
actually incorrect. It's actually incorrect. Our flag. There's two flags for Puerto Rico. There's the independence flag, which is the one with the square, the red and blue square colors.
Yeah.
That was founded in El Grito de Lares. That is a great, great, great story, Michelle. You need to read El Grito de Lares. It's the first independence call after the colonization of Puerto Rico.
Oh,
El Grito de Lares.
De Lares. Okay.
All right, and there's a lot of good books you can read. You can read books by el doctor Pedro Albizu Campos. He was poisoned by the U.S. government, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Pedro Albizu Campos.
If you can like send me all this through Messenger.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Get the book, The War Against All Puerto Ricans. It's a recently published book. I have it in Spanish and in English because I wanted to read both versions. Man, what a book.
Yeah.
Man, what a book. So anyway, go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah, go ahead with what was I saying? Wait. All right, so sorry. I was setting things up for the next one. So yeah, all right, so the next yeah, so it's being introduced. So within a couple months, Puerto Rico could be a state, is what you're saying, pretty much, right?
Pretty much within the next signature cycle of the president.
Oof. Okay.
Because remember, the reason why it was important to get 51 Senate seats,
yep,
right, is because you only need 4 other Republicans to go along with it because you have the majority already. So it's like 50 plus 5 instead of 49 plus 10.
But you know what? Like, when you explain it like that, it's so like, it irks me because it's political talk, and I hate political talk like that because people always saying like we needed to gain these many seats to be able to pass these bills, and it's like no, it's like it's not about like we need to have these many people in our party to pass these bills. It's like no, what's the best for everybody? Like I hate I don't know, I just hate that like ideology, like mentality. But real quick before we let's finish this comment. Like actually, yeah. So Michelle, what do you feel about that? Do you think Puerto Rico should be a state?
I think Puerto Rico should be a state. I feel like we deserve the same rights that United States residents have. I feel like we were always a state. Like I always knew that we were a part of the United States of America, you know? But I definitely feel like it should be a state. Like we're doing everything else that every other state do in Puerto Rico except just having the rights.
Yeah. I do. I think obviously what Eli pointed out is like there is a lot of benefits to it, you know, like they're already contributing like elsewhere, but there's a lot of benefits to them becoming a state, you know, when it comes to response to national like emergencies and stuff like that, you know, like when they need aid, you know, like I don't know. I agree with that. As long as we keep staying to ourselves and like we don't lose who we like, who Puerto Ricans are, you know, like that's why I asked about the flag. Like what happens to the flag? Do we stay with the flag? Like what changes?
So your heritage is kept by you,
yep,
not by the history books.
Yep.
The reason why my kids know about my Puerto Rican heritage is because I taught them about my heritage. If I stop teaching my heritage, then you're going to do the same thing with your kids. So that's why I don't give Christmas gifts on Christmas. I give Christmas gifts on the Epiphany on January 6th, because that's my Christmas. That's how I celebrated Christmas.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
So I think Michelle fell. Or she had to leave one or the other. But anyway, so I'm looking at I keep going down this document because it's 16 pages long.
Yep.
And if you look at the votes, there's a vote of 233 yeas for
Yep.
Puerto Rico to be accepted, and
Yep.
then there's another vote for ratification was 209 yeas, right?
Yep.
And then there was another vote in the 117th Congress that was given 191 nays and another 219 yeas. So the bill has already gone through Congress.
Yep.
Now it's in Senate hands to put it in the president's hands.
Okay.
Should Puerto Rico become a state, I as much as I want to influence the decision is up to the people of Puerto Rico. I am voting for statehood.
And
that's what you're asking me.
that's what I'm saying. Like, we have a lot of comments to catch up on. That's why I was kind of like reading. I'm like, all right, so leave it up to the people of Puerto Rico. Like, that's why I was asking you. Like, how do you feel? Like, what do you think about it? Like it should always be left to the people. Like, put it in an election.
I believe statehood is going to win. I believe so.
Okay. So let's see. So Richie said the pros do outweigh the cons. He said he'll be in Utuado in the next Utuado in the next 2 weeks.
So Utuado is actually one of the ancient Taino powwow sites. They actually have a umbate, which is like a powwow arena in Utuado.
Okay, nice. Didn't know that. But history lesson 101 over here. We learning shit. Let's see. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, if that's what Puerto Rican people want in Puerto Rico, like, hopefully they do get it. We'll be having 51 states now with Puerto Rico.
Hopefully.
51 states. We'll have representation in the Senate, have representation in the House, and they'll have a voice and everything. So
like a little bit of history about the flag. There's 3 flags, right? There's the one that has the dark blue triangle.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The actual flag for Puerto Rico has a light blue triangle.
Yep.
And then there's another flag that looks like the Dominican flag, but it's those 4 squares with colors of red, white, and blue, and a star in one of the squares. That was from the first independence battle, El Grito de Lares. That's what I was telling Ashley.
Michelle.
That is the original flag. I prefer using the one with the light blue triangle because that's the one that is mainly adopted and accepted across the island. The one with the dark blue triangle mimics the U.S. flag. That's the difference.
Okay. I'm trying to see if I can see it so I can put it on the screen. You said the one that looks like the Dominican flag?
Yeah.
There's one with the star you said in it?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm gonna look it up too so I can make sure it's the right one.
Yep.
Because there's a couple. So there's the one with the triangle that we know.
Yep.
And there's one that has 2 blue squares and 2 red squares.
Okay.
That's our independence flag. That's the one they use for the independence fight here in Puerto Rico. Esa es la bandera de la independencia.
When did they start? When did it transition? When did it become the flag that we know now? Like the flag that we know, like
in the 1950s, after it became I believe it was 1951, 1952 when we were accepted under the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico Act.
Okay.
There's actually a country in Spain that has a flag that looks almost like ours, but it has yellow and red stripes on it.
Yeah.
Ours was the identical of Cuba, but the difference was in the color tones because they didn't want it to be exactly the same.
That was gonna
So
be that was gonna be my question next. Like, which flag came first, like the Cuban flag or the Puerto Rican
the
flag?
Cuban flag came first.
Okay. We just couldn't be original. We just like, yeah, we like that flag. Let's.
No, we do have our flag. If you look at bandera, Lola Rodriguez de Tio. Because that's the lady who. Okay, so if you look up Lola Rodriguez de Tio, she's the one who designed the flag. I gotta give you a little history lesson on Puerto Rico here. So she was a very independent woman, very outspoken, very well recognized by the government of Puerto Rico. She was given the task of creating the flag for the people of Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And some of her ancestors still live in the island.
Lola Rodriguez.
Lola Rodriguez de Tio.
De Tio, I see it. Let's see. Oh, she looks like somebody's nice abuela.
Exactly. But she wrote La Borinqueña, which is our hymn.
Mm. Let's put up on the screen so everybody can see her.
So there you have a Hispanic community leader in the early 1900s, because she died in 1924, leading independence for her people.
So Lola Rodriguez de Tio was the first Puerto Rican-born woman to poet to establish herself as a reputation as a great poet throughout all of Latin America. A believer in women's rights, she was also committed to the abolition of slavery and the independence of Puerto Rico. Nice.
Yes, sir. That's Miss Lola Rodriguez de Tio.
Her little statue over here. She looks tough. She looks like a fighter.
Yeah, I believe she's buried in Cuba.
Why would she be buried in Cuba? She's Puerto Rican.
Because she was exiled there.
Wow. You
got to read the story, dude. I just give you a little bit.
Look at that. I know.
You're gonna be like, damn, Eli, I think I need to move back to Puerto Rico.
You know what? Maybe one day. I've thought about going for a change, you know. But yeah, so let's see. I mean, hopefully it turns out to be whatever the Puerto Rican people want. Hopefully when that vote comes, you know, people Puerto Rico decide if it's what they want, good. And hopefully we clear out of that corruption and, you know, not let people keep running Puerto Rico and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. But talking about corruption. You gonna say something before we switch to the next topic?
No, I was gonna say, if you guys want to do research on those folks like Pedro Albizu Campos on YouTube, they have all of his speeches that he gave for the independence of Puerto Rico.
Yep.
You'd be shocked. Now, Pedro Albizu Campos was the first Puerto Rican, first Afro-Latino to graduate from Harvard Law School. He was an officer in the military, and the reason why didn't make him commanding officer, because he was brown skinned.
Nice. Hold on. I'm reading a compliment, so somebody wanted me to tell you Eli is a great storyteller. Hold on. What is he is a good storyteller. I missed it because somebody and knows a lot. He should be a great guest for one of my friends. Oh, so there you go. Nah,
Hey, shoot me a message.
Eli's very knowledgeable. He knows a lot of stories. He's very one of those people that they know like little facts here and there. His pre-match speech were epic back in the 2000s. Yes,
Who's that? Who said
Richie,
that?
Richie.
Richie.
You always ask me. You always ask this question. Yeah. So Eli's speeches were were always on point. They always motivated us. You know.
They
Same.
were true.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted you to be. I
It's
wanted you to be in a different place at that moment. You needed to raise that bar for that moment so you can
Yep.
say, "Shit, I did it."
Yep. So
Enough about me.
nah, but no, it was true. But anyways, so moving on, because we talked a lot. Puerto Rico is huge. But anyways, before we even got on, Eli even said, like having this conversation is gonna be is long because it's a lot to uncover. When it comes to Puerto Rico, and the situation that's going on over there. He even told me before. He's like, this is like a three episode type of thing. I know Richie, he does. So Richie says he stays forgetting. LOL. And I'm like, yeah, he does. He was on last time. He's Angel Camacho from Hope.
Oh, okay.
Dark
Okay, I
dark
remember
skin
now.
dark skin Trigueño.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
His mom yeah, you might know his mom too. I'm trying to think if you would know her if she was working in the school department when you were. But anyways, let's go. So anyways, moving on. Most recently, I'm not sure if you've heard, but I was gonna actually talk about this 2 episodes ago, but with everything going on, me and Michelle started talking about all the other stuff. We never really got to cover it. But classified documents were found in Joe Biden's office, in his think tank, which is Penn Biden Center, which is in
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
So what did he do different that the orange Cheeto didn't
Can
do?
can we get to that in a minute? Can we get to that in a minute? Can we gonna get to that? We gonna get to that. That's why I was afraid to bring this up because I was like, damn, that Puerto Rico topic is long. But I've been holding on and talking about this for like 3 weeks, so I'm like, we gotta talk about it. But yeah. So let me put it up on the screen so we can all read it together. So the New York Post. This was an article that I read before, but obviously there's more news that came up since then. But let's go back to it. The Justice Department is looking into how a handful of classified documents from President Biden's time as vice president ended up at the D.C. think tank that bears his name, which is the Penn Biden Center or whatever in Pennsylvania. So
Biden Center at Penn State.
yeah, not at Penn State, not Penn State University, but in Pennsylvania. So fast forward to now, there's actually been documents found at his home residence. There's actually in his garage, and not only him. Obviously, Donald Trump was found first. Donald Trump was the first one at Mar-a-Lago, but most recently today, did you hear about Mike Pence?
Yeah, I saw that first thing this morning.
So Mike Pence also just came out today that he also had classified documentation in his house. Now, what is going on? These are supposed to be top secret stuff, classified documentations. But apparently everybody's doing it.
Let me interject there. Any document that goes to the White House is considered classified, period. Now, the level of security, whether it's secret, top secret, secret squirrel, top secret, only Batman needs to know, top secret type thing, then that's for the different agency secretaries. Because when I was on active duty, I used to have to drive around with a briefcase and a handcuff on it, which was considered top secret documents. Yes, and I was armed. And you could only get that briefcase from me if you chop my hand off. So
yeah.
I want to say
go ahead.
The difference between the two, or between the three, is that two of them said, you know what? Go ahead and do what you need to do. If you think I'm guilty, let me know. And I'm going to give you more time. Here's some more places you might want to look. The other one said, no, I don't have anything. I gave it all back. And then after the FBI went knocking on your door and said, excuse me, you told us you gave us everything, and there's still stuff here. And his attorneys lied on top of that. That's the difference. One of them did it maliciously, and the other two didn't do it maliciously.
So
it could have been a mistake. Now, I'm not defending anyone, but just the way they decided to return the documents tells you the intent behind taking the documents.
So one of the arguments that's being said to is that the difference is that one was a president and the other one was a vice president. A vice president does not have the power to declassify any documentation. That's only left to the president.
True. But
so hold on one second. Hold on one second. So the argument is, how did he get possession of classified documentations when he can't declassify that even as a vice president? But now, some of the documentations, because now there's been documentation that's been found in his home and in his garage, go back to when he was a senator. So now even goes lower than a vice president.
Okay, so
how did he get possession of the classified documentation?
Very simple. You're overthinking the situation. Go see what committees he sat on as a senator. Go look at the committees. And the committees will tell you what access he had to certain documents.
But does the senator have the ability to declassify any information?
How long does it take to declassify a document in the federal government?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure
10 years. It takes 10 years. You can't do that on the spot. It takes 10 years because it has to go through all the different layers of security.
So let's see. Let's check. So national security information right here says, let's see, classification level. So there's different levels of class of secret documentations, levels of classified documentation. So the levels are top secret, secret, and confidential. The first level, top secret, shall be applied to information that unauthorizes disclosure of which reasonable could be expected to cause exceptional grave danger to national security. Now, those classified as secrets shall be applied to information the unauthorized disclosure of which reasonable could be expected to be cause serious damage to national security. Confidential shall be applied to information the unauthorized disclosure of which reasonable could be expected to cause damage to national security. So that's what I'm saying. There's three different classifications, but they all seem the same. But
correct. But here's the situation again. So from 19. Let's see here. During the 117th Congress, he served on the Committee for Foreign Relations. So guess what he had access to?
What is it? Say it again.
During the 117th Congress, he served on the Committee for Foreign Relations. So guess what he had access to? Certain classified documents.
Yes.
During the 113th Congress, the 110th through the 113th Congress, he served on the Committee for the Judiciary. So guess what access he had to those documents?
Yeah, but that doesn't. But it regardless of what, the only person
So
who can declassify documents is the president. The fact that
again,
the fact
again, the
no no
president the
but
president cannot declassify a document by looking at it and saying, "I want to declassify this." It takes a lot more step. It's not a
I
one
know.
day thing.
But the thing is that a senator should not have top secret. There's certain things on there at their home, especially from when the time when he was a senator, all that
Ivan,
time.
Ivan,
But in
if you're serving on the Foreign
Yep,
Relations Committee,
yep,
which meaning you're dealing with a country that is not your own,
yep.
don't you think you want to have documents that will help you talk to their leadership directly?
Yeah,
That's what the secret documents are.
but this
So again, I'm not
yeah.
defending him. He could have been on the Foreign Relations Committee, slipped it in a book, slipped it in a notebook, and forgot about it.
Yeah.
The good thing is he's returning them. He's not saying they're mine.
Yep.
I want to keep them. That is the difference.
Yep. So, and there's a difference too. He had a hold on. Let's read what people were saying. Documents were found in Mike Pence's house. Yes, we know. Ivan, you have to remember he was leaving office. His son just died and was working from home. He was also cleaning out his office, and he and Mike Pence turned them in.
That's true. That's a fact.
Biden had
That's
Obama
a fact.
declassify it with his mind. Biden had Obama declassify it with his mind.
That's just being
Yeah.
cynical.
Nah, but still, aren't top secret documents supposed to be locked up somewhere? Like, to have them multiple places, isn't that kind of irresponsible?
Depends, because again, you might have a copy of the original document stamped top secret. You might not have the original document. Again, I've been in those shoes before.
But also, people shouldn't just have access to.
He's not people. He's a member
I know,
of our government that had
but
a
he had him,
position
but
of
he
power.
had him in
That's
his house.
different.
He had him in his house and in his garage where anybody could access his car. There's actually pictures of his son Hunter Biden with his Corvette.
Do you know the type of security detail a U.S. senator has?
Yeah.
Like, they have a security detail.
Yep.
Especially when they're on those powerful committees, House Appropriations,
Yep.
Foreign Relations, all those committees that have to deal with foreign governments.
Yep.
That's what you guys are overlooking. That's what you're overlooking. You're looking at the situation. You're not looking at, okay, why he had those documents. Oh, he sat on this committee. He did this type of work. He did that type of work.
That's not the argument.
Should he have returned the documents? Yes.
You're defending that, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm
I'm
saying
not
is
defending
what
that. I'm putting a hypothetical situation.
What I'm saying is that
okay.
What I'm saying is, past the point of him being able to access them, anybody had access to them because they were just in his garage. They weren't locked anywhere safe. They were just put away in his garage where his Corvette was parked, as he said.
It was secured. I believe the word he used, secured.
But his son had his pictures up. So right now I'm posting a picture of Joe Biden with the Corvette where the classified documents were. There's a picture.
That picture's from 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
But that's what the documents were.
Yeah, because all the naysayers are going to use whatever they can to make Brandon look bad. That picture came from either a Newsweek or Motor Trend magazine article from like 2005, 2006, when Hunter was being interviewed. Well, either Hunter or one of the two sons was being interviewed about the dad's car, because they had it restored.
Yep. Regardless of
I got you, brother.
No,
I already broke that conspiracy real quick.
Oh no, it's not a conspiracy. That's why it's being looked at, because also, so what they're looking at is to see if those documentations had anything to do with Ukraine, because as you know, Ukraine Burisma was being investigated, and you
do realize that company does not exist. That was a name they made up.
I know, but that's well, and that's the thing too. Ukraine is known for corruption with money laundering. That company was made up, and who was on the board of that? Who was on the board of that Burisma? His son Hunter Biden.
Let me ask you this.
What they're looking at is to see if any of those documentations had anything to do with things. Because as you know, there was also a video of Joe Biden telling them that they weren't going to give him $1 billion unless they fired the prosecutor that was prosecuting Burisma.
Okay, so show me the documents that tell you that.
Let's show me what.
The documents that tell me what you just said.
Just look it up online. All right, I'm gonna show it to everybody. So let's look it up. So what is it that you want to know? Because if so, Burisma, right? Oh, how the fuck you spell Burisma?
Burisma.
Burisma.
SMA.
All right, let's see. So, all right. So, what do you want to know? You want to know if he was in the board of Burisma, or you want to hear the video of Joe Biden saying that the prosecutor wasn't fired, he wasn't going to get the $1 billion? Because that's what they're really looking for. That's what they're seeing, to see if there was a connection between those top secret documentations. Because a lot of those top secret documentations are foreign secrets of stuff that's going on in other countries as well as the United States. Now, if those documentations were just lying around and anybody could have access to them, walking either using his car or not using his car, and that's what they're trying to investigate, which is fine. I understand like people's point of trying to defend, because again, everybody's always trying to defend their party instead of looking at the whole picture.
I don't follow a party, buddy.
You're sure fighting like you are, but I'm just saying. I was just trying to point out that it was in multiple places and anybody had access to them. That's what I'm asking. Is like if it was just in the garage.
I'm reading the report from the Ukrainian anti-corruption office, which was way before President Zelensky, and I don't see any of those names on here.
Whose name?
Any of the names you're talking about? All I see is Alexander Kowalczynski, Joseph Kofer, Karina Klavechnikov, Christina blah blah blah, and the former president of Poland. They were all found. They were part of the Bush Counterterrorism Center, and in former advisor John Kerry and Hunter Biden, attorney blah blah.
So it said Hunter Biden.
Blah blah. They started a company called Archer in 2018.
So wait, what did you say? What did you say about Hunter Biden when you said? And what was the other guy's name?
He says in 2014, Devin Archer, a former senior advisor to John Kerry, and Hunter Biden, an attorney and son of the then U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, joined the board of a company called Archer. Not Burisma.
Okay. So what was Archer's...
And in 2019, Biden left, and when his term expired as director.
Okay.
And this is coming from a Reuters news article.
All right, so let's see.
September 24, 2019. Factbox, Burisma, the obscure Ukrainian gas company at the heart of the U.S. political row, is the name of the article.
So this is what I have on. So during the time on the board of the Ukraine largest, so he was on the board. Let's see, because this one's telling me.
He was on a board of another company with presidential candidate John Kerry.
Okay, let's see. So let's see. The New York Post. Because I know there was something on there that said he was on the board of the energy company with Burisma, or it had a connection to Burisma. I just can't find the article. So here's it. Hold on.
So Burisma is a company started by a Russian oligarch.
Have been debunked.
And
hold on one second. So here's an interview of Joe Biden talking about saying that he doesn't know what his son does with Burisma.
On your son, Hunter Biden, President Trump says, Sleepy Joe has real problems. Reminds me of Crooked Hillary and her 33,000 deleted emails. A lot of the Ukraine charges about you have been debunked and were unfair. There's one thing that a lot of Democrats even do wonder about, and that is Hunter Biden, your son, was getting paid a lot of money to serve on the board of a Ukrainian energy company facing serious corruption charges. You were the vice president running point on Ukraine. The average Joe hears that and says, that sounds fishy. What's your understanding of what your son was doing for an extraordinary amount?
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it. And there's nobody.
Well, you've had a lot of time. Isn't this something you want to get to the bottom of?
No, because I trust my son.
But that doesn't.
Okay,
the
and I'm
It's
telling you,
even
though it came from his father's mouth.
Don't you need to know what's happening with your family? Don't you need to put down some guardrails?
Unless there was something that was, there was something on its face that was wrong. There's nothing on its face that was wrong. Look, if you want to talk about problems, let's talk about Trump's family. I mean, come on. This is, these guys are amazing.
So you think that everything that happened was kosher?
There's not
And
one
and
single bit of
evil
evidence.
always
Not
gets
one
their
little
way,
tiny
like,
bit.
gets what
Says
they
anything
deserve.
done was wrong.
And I feel like that's something that's
that.
happening right
But you
now.
keep asking me these questions. It's okay.
When when they first found documents on Trump, he was like, "How can somebody be so irresponsible? So irresponsible." Donald Trump had it in Mar-a-Lago, which was a secure location. Joe Biden had it in 3 different locations where his son had access to. Like I said, all they're trying to find out right now was any of those documentations had to do anything with Burisma. As you saw, Joe Biden even acknowledged that Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma, but he had no idea what his role was there. Even though Joe Biden also had an interview where he said he told them they better fire the prosecutor or they were not getting the $1 billion. And in his own word, he said, "Son of a bitch, that prosecutor was fired." And I would have find the video just so I could play it.
But do you understand why they needed that prosecutor fired? Do you know the reason why?
Because it was going after corruption. And it's being said,
no, he wasn't going after corruption. He was the corrupt prosecutor that would not prosecute corruption.
No,
because they found that he had a money stream coming from Russia directly from Putin. That's why they told him they had to fire that prosecutor.
So something that
if not, Zelensky would not be president right now.
So something that I also
you guys aren't looking at that part.
No, something that I heard today was the reason why he was telling them to fire them is because the next person he was gonna call, that he was gonna subpoena, was gonna be Hunter Biden because of the Burisma connection. That's why he wanted the prosecutor fired, because the next person who was gonna be subpoenaed was Hunter Biden, but it's gonna be discovered, and that's why and I'm not wishing anything bad on anybody, but I'm just saying sometimes when you guys when people point fingers, it comes right back at you. But let's see.
You need to read this Congressional Joint Report, Finance Report that the GOP put it out. It's not bad. They're doing just like you did, pointing out the obvious.
So, but and hold on, let's find Joe Biden's video of him saying, "If this prosecutor is not fired, you ain't getting no $1 billion." But
I saw that. That was on CNN, Fox News, what's it called? The BBC. I saw that video.
I'm telling you,
but it was a lot deeper than what you guys think. What you guys are saying, it was a lot deeper, because I remember I almost got called away on a secret mission to fucking go there because of that bullshit. It's a lot deeper than what people know or say. That's why you always look for the documents.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm just can't wait. This getting spicy. Let's find out what's in those documents. But you know what? The thing, I don't know. Let's just
First of all, Biden isn't running in 2024. They're gonna have to deal with either Kamala Harris or any of those other Democrats that came in second or third place. I'm more
Or last
concerned
place.
about my I'm more concerned about my issues, man.
Yeah.
Because if Puerto Rico doesn't become a state, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and I don't know where I'm going.
And that's the thing that's sad though. Is like, like, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, leave it up to the people. Obviously, I can't talk about it from being out from the outside. You know, like, leave it up to the people. The people really want that to happen, then let it happen. You know, we just said it's nice, spicy. So, what's people? I don't know. What do people feel about it? So now with this being said, with everybody, with there being documentation, whatever, found on everybody, should anybody have access to top secret documents and be able to bring them home anytime you want? Like,
the answer is no. The answer is always going to be no. And I believe you're making a strong statement by bringing them home anytime they want, because it could have been slipped in a folder. It could have been given to an aide to say, hold this for me. The aide forgot to return it. I've been in those situations. I'm not making excuses, but I've been in those where I've been called at 2:00 in the morning, say, Eli, did you remember to take your gun to the armory? Oh shit, no, I still have it with me.
yeah, but
I have to go to the armory and return it.
Yeah, but a gun is different than national security information. There could be top secret stuff in there with people's information, like whistleblowers, anything.
Active military personnel, unless you are a military policeman, you're not allowed to carry firearms. That's considered a national security concern.
Yep.
Because I'm a military service member with top secret documents with a gun. Really? Come on now, Ivan.
I don't know. But
anyway,
I don't think anybody.
Let the press do what they need to do.
No, not the press.
Like you said,
don't trust the press. Look up your own information.
Karma's gonna happen. I believe in the press. I believe in the free press. The free press is what's helping the corruption in Puerto Rico. It's what's uncovering it and bringing it out into the public, and that's how we're winning, by bringing it out into the public, not by pointing fingers and blaming people.
Yeah, but
I mean, yeah, it's all good to have scuttlebutt and gossip and all this other stuff, but I mean, sometimes you got to look a little bit deeper, because I looked into that Hunter Biden stuff when he was when he first ran, that Trump brought that up.
Yep.
I looked all up and down the different reports, the independence reports from France, from Italy, from Greece, all the different international reporters looking into it. Even they all said it was scuttlebutt. All they could find was that he was part of a corporation under Burisma, which I just told you, with John Kerry, and that company ceased to exist in 2019.
I know, but
so
I don't know.
Again, that's like saying, Ivan, you work for Mount Pleasant High School, but your boss is the Providence School Department, and you're like, no, my boss is Mount Pleasant High School, and that's not true.
Well,
so that's what they did. They associated.
But no,
but
it's different though.
Listen to me.
Yo, he has his emails though, his laptop.
They did a name association with whatever facts they had, and until they uncover the truth, it's just that. That's how I look at it. I don't like gossip. I don't
like gossip either. It's just funny. But so another thing that they brought up is his emails. They found his laptop. It was always said that it was fake.
Where did they find it?
Huh?
Where did they find it?
At a repair shop that he dropped it off at.
So why didn't they turn it into the FBI? Why did they keep it?
They did. It did. So the guy turned it into the FBI, but he kept a copy of it.
So he's just as criminal as the people who are accusing what's his name?
Hey.
He's just as criminal. So that's not right.
So
because
no.
Ivan, if you're accused of something, right, and I have evidence that you have it, why would I want to publish it? Unless I want to make money off you. I'd rather just let the law deal with it. But not everybody is as ethical as I am.
Yeah. So
it's an ethics issue. I wouldn't do that, because I'm not going to believe someone who said, "Oh, I found the laptop in a pawn shop in Sausalito, Nevada." Okay. So why isn't the national news on it? Why isn't a report from the DOJ? Because the DOJ actually has a newspaper that they print every day. Why isn't it in there? Because if it's that important, It should be there. Am I right?
Yeah. So the laptop was turned into the FBI in December of 2019. The reason why it was leaked to the public was because it was November 2020, and there was no mention of anything. So the repair guy saw, okay, I just turned in these hard evidence to the FBI, and nothing's being done. So what he did was that he contacted Trump's lawyers, Rudy Giuliani being one of them, and gave him a copy of the laptop.
Of course he did.
So that's why he did it, because it was a year later and there was no mention of this at all. So talking about corruption, and I'm not saying that there's corruption here, but I'm saying we do have to keep an open mind that when something as bad as what the person supposedly says they say there is, and nothing's being done, you kind of have to call into questions like, why is this not going on? So obviously you have to find other source of methods, kind of like when people, like you said, you're a big believer in the press. I do believe in the press, because the press can sometimes get information that, like when situation like this, not saying situation like this, but if any situation where somebody is a whistleblower to the government doesn't say anything, the government doesn't do anything, because it's true, there are some governments that are corrupted, like you mentioned in Puerto Rico as well. You mentioned Puerto Rico being corrupt. Is it possible United States could be corrupt as well?
I know for a fact they are.
So
I work for them.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's why when civilians take action on their own, when anybody reacts to something, it's because sometimes they've gone to a point where they've let it ride its course and see where it goes and nothing's done. Then sometimes you'll be like, yo, maybe I gotta stand up and say something, because corruption is out there. So just to clarify, that's what I read of why he came out and why he turned in, because it was a year later and nothing was mentioned about it and nothing was done about it. So
there's like 10 different articles on Biden's laptop, right? And out of the 9 I've read, 9 of them say that even though it was found, they can't find information specifically of what they were talking about.
Can you tell me which
9
ones?
out of the 10 articles said that.
Hold on, tell me which ones, so I can show everybody.
Yep, CBSNews.com.
So what's the article name?
A copy of what's believed to be Biden's laptop turned over by repair to FBI showed no tampering, analysis says.
Oh, so no tampering, but yeah, that means it was authentic. There was no tampering, so that means that the laptop that he gave was authentic.
But the data that they were looking for, that people were pointing out, is not in that analysis. It's not in there. They're saying it's not in there.
There's pictures of him with
prostitutes
and him.
Listen, it went to 3 different data sets, cyber forensic gurus, in an independent analysis of 2 cyber investigators from the Minneapolis-based Forensics Computer Services found no evidence that the user data had been modified, fabricated, or tampered with.
Exactly.
Right?
So it's authentic.
And hold on. It goes on to, hold on, you're jumping the gun here, like you tell me. And it goes on to say, the team believes there are ongoing efforts to utilize the infected, distorted data to spread disinformation. At no time did any individual have Mr. Biden's consent to access his computer nor data to share it. So they're believing, the forensic people are saying, that whatever's being spread over the internet and on the news over the internet and not being verified by the news is incorrect.
That's all right. They can say that. As long as I know that the laptop is authentic, it really was him. Because remember the election, they were saying that's Russian information. It's not his laptop. It's not this. That's all. But
you know what? Did it help? Did it help them in any way?
I mean,
no, because
it's still being supposedly investigated. I
can't vote for president here in Puerto Rico.
Oh no, we
can't vote.
No, I'm just saying. Back to what I was saying in the beginning. Remember when you point a finger, you got 3 fingers pointed at you. So everything they were pushing on somebody, now it's all coming back to them. The laptop being real, Russia hoax being fake, What else? It just keeps coming. It just keeps coming.
So you think? Do you think that Russia attempting to meddle in our elections is fake?
No, I didn't say that.
You did.
No, I didn't.
You said Russia hoax. That's what that was about.
Well, no, the Russia hoax was with the whole Trump colluding with Russia.
That's what that was about. They found evidence.
God! No, they did not. No, they did not. What did they find? What did they find?
The Defense Counterintelligence Agency said that they found traces of hackers trying to attack the system. Okay, but because it didn't affect the outcome of our elections, they did nothing about it. The report is out there. The report that the first special investigator did, the Marine Colonel, right? It says in there. You got to read it. It says in there.
I know
that there is evidence of Russia attempting to meddle in the U.S. elections. There is evidence. So the Russia hoax is real, but they never did anything about it because it did not affect the outcome of the election. So what they ended up doing is they ended up tightening the security for the internet within the different agencies. That's what they did.
No, that's true. Yeah. A bunch of different countries try to meddle in our elections, but the one thing is that they did not collude with Trump. That's the one thing that was not true. They did not collude with Trump. But you know what? So something, this wasn't part of the topic, but now since you want to bring up colluding, I don't know if you know. So I'm reading right now ABC News. It was out yesterday. Former top FBI official Charles McGugan. I don't know how to say his name. McGugan, whatever. Arrested over ties to Russian oligarch. So ties to Russian.
Listen, simple.
So do we know who this guy is?
Real simple, yes.
Who is he? Who is he? Go ahead, tell me.
He is the chief in charge of counterintelligence to Russia.
So
guess what? Follow the money.
So he was also the guy who helped and sponsored the whole Russia collusion. The whole with Christopher Steele. This guy was the connection between the FBI and and Russia. So it wasn't Trump, it was these people. So let's see.
No one blamed Trump. They just threw his name in the hat because he was. Listen, you gotta understand, Ivan. When you're the head of a company or you're head of an organization, and I can blame you and say you were part of this because you had somebody with their hand in the pot. That's what they'll do.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming Trump.
Yeah.
I'm not. He just got, like everything else, got caught up.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Evil always comes to light. So, and I'm just...
It's going to come... All I know is this next election cycle is going to be fun.
It is. So, yeah, you guys can read this whole article. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but yeah, he has connections to the whole one of the people that started the whole Russia collusion, blaming Trump being colluded with Russia. All along it was him. And yeah, and I'm not, and people might say, oh, you're writing this guy. No, it's because you know what? I'm always rooting for the underdog, and I'm always rooting for the person who's getting mistreated, the person who's always being pointed at, the person who's always being blamed for. I always stick up for that person, and I am so glad that I stuck through it, and I'm so glad that things are coming up to light because my feelings were right, and hopefully at some point, not saying that he's perfect because nobody's perfect. The only thing I liked about Trump was that he was authentic and he was real. He wasn't playing politically correct. He wasn't doing that stuff. He was authentic. He was like a real person. So in that sense, the only reason why I defend him so much is because he's been treating so bad, and I know that he did so good. So I don't know. I just get excited when I see stuff like this that vindicates him, just to show that, you know what, he wasn't as bad as people were making him seem. It's just certain people didn't want him there, and they were doing everything they can. And the thing that sucks is that some certain people know how easily influential people can be, like influence people can be through media and through putting stuff in front of their faces. And I'm not just talking about politics, I'm talking about like anything in general, like even like models and like all these people, like they put everything in front of you to try to get you to like, stay hooked to it. And it just sucks that people use that to their advantage to control people and like to try to control how people feel and how people think. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling off a little bit.
Sound like a Republican.
honestly, I was always a Democrat.
So you know who J.P. Morgan is?
I know who J.P. Morgan is.
Okay, you know that I believe it was him. It was either him or who was the other one? It's J.P. Morgan. It was Carnegie and somebody else. Well, Vanderbilt. One of those three was the one who started the public education system, because they said, I want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. And from the early revolution, from the early industrial revolution,
yep,
all the way through the 1960s was the generation of let's go to work. And in the 60s, you saw the hippie revolution, right?
Yep.
And then the 70s was the sexual revolution. In the 80s was the technical revolution. In the 90s was the computer revolution, and so on and so on and so forth, right?
Yep.
So what you're seeing is those decades actually coming back into fruition. We don't want a nation of workers. We want a nation of thinkers. That's why they're starting to offer schools are cheaper. Colleges are cheaper for some folks. That's where that comes from. So that's why we are the way we are. They dangle the carrot in front of you. It's called money, right? So if you get caught up in just thinking about money, guess what you're gonna do? Put as much as you can away and keep as much as you can. I learned that shit don't work.
Yeah.
That just makes you greedy. It makes you corrupt. It makes you evil, and I'm all set with that.
Yeah, money, like what they say, money is the root of all evil.
Money is the root of all evil.
Once you have it, you want more, you want more, you want more.
Yeah.
You gotta give money to the big guy. I'm kidding.
Yeah, make sure you pay me.
Oh man! All right, let's. What you want to play a game? Let's play a game and then
let's go. Let's play that roulette game.
Because this is 2 hours now. 2 hours, long time, and I'm hungry. And I don't want to eat in front of the camera because there'd be always a munching noise when I. So yeah, what about your podcast? Like you thinking about starting something like that soon, right? Some ideas.
Yeah,
You're thinking about it.
Starting a podcast. I don't know where to start. I think I need a microphone is what I'm missing because I have everything else.
Nope. You have a light and everything.
Yeah, I have several lights.
Okay.
And then it's just a matter of getting an audience.
Okay. Hey,
I still don't know what to call it.
Something that I do like suggest, or honestly, or even it's just my mentality, or maybe it's just differently, but something that when I do it is don't focus on the viewership, just worry about putting content out there. Like just worry about putting, but I know I definitely gotta check out TikTok because I know you were telling me a lot about it, so a lot about the viewership over there. But that's something that keeps me, because I know when I first started with some other people, it was always about viewership, and they always got discouraged with the viewership. And I'm like, don't think about it the viewership wise. Think about it just putting content out there, and the views will come. So just keep doing your job, keep doing whatever you do, and that'll come. But we're gonna spin this wheel real quick, see what we got, see what we're gonna play. Hopefully something not singing. We sang last week.
Oh boy.
Oh, it says guest choice. Eli's choice.
All right. What are my choices?
So your choices are
beer, wine, or liquor. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. One gotta go. Finish the lyric. Never have I ever. Would you rather? Song association. Agree or disagree.
Ooh, since we've been debating, let's go agree to disagree.
All right, sounds good. Agree or disagree. All right. You want to go first? Oh, actually, so what? So let me explain it a little bit. So, with agree or disagree. For example, if I say pineapple goes on pizza, then you would either say whether you agree or don't agree. Get it?
Got it.
So something like that. All right. So since I already asked it, that's pineapple goes on pizza.
Only if you're from the Pacific. Agree.
I don't agree.
That's your choice. You asked me.
Oh yeah, no.
You asked me a question, so I'm giving you an answer.
Oh no. I know. It's not like a debate where we argue. I'm just saying, like, to me, it's like, yeah. All right. Good. Let's see. You have another one? You want you? Let me just jump in when you have one.
Remember, I can't see your screen, or you just want me to ask you straight up?
Oh yeah, no. Just ask me straight up. Go ahead.
Agree to disagree. Agree or disagree. Hot dogs only need mustard.
Disagree.
Okay.
Disagree. You can put some onions in there. New York system style.
I didn't say. See, now you're changing the hot dog on me. That's not what I asked you.
I know, that's a wiener now. Yeah. Nah, I gotta put some ketchup on it. Some ketchup on it.
No, I learned that mustard is the best seasoning for hot dogs.
Mustard?
Brown mustard, as a matter of fact.
Just mustard on itself, or like?
Just mustard by itself.
Oh wow. Okay. I'll have to try it.
Your turn.
Agree or disagree? Jennifer Lopez is the hottest female singer. Hottest Latina singer out there right now.
Disagree.
All right. Who do you think it is? Or do you want to say? You don't have to say.
I could name a few from here from the island that you've never heard of.
Who?
There's I think her name is Samba. She's from Mayagüez. Oh, Cani Garcia.
Okay. Cani Garcia. If anybody knows, I don't know. I have no clue who that is. All right.
I bet you know who Evie Queen is.
I know who Evie Queen is. I know who Evie Queen is. Yup. Reggaeton. Throw her reggaeton. All right. Your turn.
My turn?
Yep.
Agree or disagree? Freedom is not free.
Agree.
Okay.
You agree?
I fought for it.
Yeah, it's never free.
It's never free.
Somebody fought for it, or somebody
has to die for you to have freedom. That's what a lot of people don't understand either.
Yeah, no, I know somebody always has to sacrifice something. The freedoms that you have growing up, it's because your parents did something for you to be able to have that luxury of, maybe having an education that they didn't have.
So in the work that I do, because I work with veterans, I get to honor that generation that changed the world, which was the World War II veterans. There are not that many left. If it weren't for them, we would not be sitting and doing what we're doing today. So I'm grateful for them.
Yeah.
Your turn.
All right. And somebody gave a suggestion for your new podcast. Sorry, so I got distracted. They gave us a suggestion, so I'll tell you. All right. I'll tell you after. All right. Agree or disagree? Wrestling is the best. Wrestling is Wrestling is the best foundation wrestling to any other sport out there.
Oh my God, that's because I taught you that. Actually, wrestling is probably one of the best foundations. I agree, for about 90% of the challenges that you face in life.
Yep. Wrestling is it's a lot mental, and I think life is like that. If you can envision it, or if you can mentally get through it, you can get through anything in life.
So how did you become a state champion? How did you become a New England champion?
How do you become a New England champion?
You envisioned it, did you not?
Yeah.
Someone said, "Hey, Ivan, this is the path you need to take to get there. Let's go."
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So
yeah, no, that's true. Go ahead.
I remember those late nights and weekends and cold ass fucking Februaries.
For real. Hold on. Let me send this.
My turn or your turn?
Your turn.
It's your turn.
No, your
No,
turn.
it's your turn.
Your turn. I just said I asked you about wrestling.
Okay. Agree to disagree. Your coaches were the worst leaders you ever had.
Disagree. Even now, I work with Demuccio, and he's a good leader. He's a good man.
How's he doing, by the way?
He's doing good.
Good. Give him my regards.
I will. You know, stressful. You know, the generation nowadays, but you know, it's all mental. If you can do it mentally, you can do it.
That's right.
Yep. Agree or disagree? Mayo, hold on. You can put mayo on pizza.
Because of the way you phrase the question, I'm going to say agree. Because a lot of people do that.
I
know.
I don't do it. I don't do it.
That's their choice.
All right.
That's their choice.
How about you? Would you put mayo on your pizza?
If it was spicy buffalo pizza, I would use blue cheese dressing, which has mayo in it. Yes.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, no. I see a bunch of these kids just like, I'm like, yeah, no. Oh God, oh my stomach hurts.
That's why when they're my age, they'll have heart attacks.
Yeah, no.
I'm not old, guys. I'm only 49.
Still young.
Don't let the beard fool you.
No, that's just that. You know what that is? Wisdom.
Aesthetics.
Wisdom.
Aesthetics.
Oh man! All right. Did I ask the last one or did you?
You did. You did mayo on pizza.
Oh, yep.
Last one.
Go ahead.
Agree or disagree? You would give up everything right now to move to Puerto Rico.
If I had something set and I knew it was gonna be like.
That's not what I asked you.
Yes. Yeah, I would.
Because depending on what, again, I'm not a hiring guy, but there are good paying jobs here in Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah,
dude, I make $80,000 a year to sit behind a fucking computer and push buttons. Are you kidding me?
Wow. I could do that.
Of course you can. So those jobs are here in Puerto Rico.
I know. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe I'll be lounging back, chilling.
It took me 20 years. It took me 20 years to make 80 grand in Rhode Island. I've made it in my first 9 here in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
So.
Wow, to think, 9, because years go by so fast.
Yep.
God.
And I just got a promotion.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Nice.
I should say, I did get a promotion. I got a step increase. So, yeah, I get more money.
Nice.
More money.
Hey, you know what happens with more money? More problems.
More taxes.
More bills.
More money,
shit.
More taxes.
Keep on. I see the mailman and I'm like, don't put none of that shit in my mailbox.
See, you're good because in the States, on your federal tax, you could actually deduct a lot of your unreimbursed employee expenses. I don't have that option in Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
I can only file state tax and that's it. Unless I'm going to file for federal tax credit. And then if I get 10,000 back from the state, guess what I got to give that 10,000 to? Uncle Sam, when they already taxed me on my salary.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So, Ashley had a suggestion. So, she said, "Good topic, Ivan. Staying on topics. Kudos to Eli and a great job, and he has great opportunity." She got a title for you. Ready for it?
Yep.
You better copyright this. I'm kidding. Real talk with Eli Garcia.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Real talk.
That's
with
actually
Eli.
on one of my lists.
Real talk with Eli Garcia.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. We gotta get you like a little logo or something.
Yeah, I got to start working on that so I can get it going. So yeah, send that to me. I might end up using that for the first few episodes.
Yep. I'll
because we'll do real talk.
real talk.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely real talk.
Let's
We'll
see.
talk about the moment, the situation, what's going on, how you can fix it. If you don't like it, get the hell out of here.
Yep. So I tagged you on the comment so
All
you
right.
can remember and see it.
I'll get-
She said also congratulations on the promotion.
Oh, thank you.
So, yep, congratulations. But with that being said, it is late. I am hungry. I got a cold ass sandwich over here that I haven't ate. That I don't want to eat because I don't want to be rude.
I ain't gonna lie, I cooked. I made arroz blanco con carne guisada.
Oh, that sounds so much better.
I know. Remember when I used to cook for you?
Yeah. Yep.
Those were the days. I miss cooking for you guys.
Yeah. Good times.
That's why you guys need to move to Puerto Rico. You can do your podcast from here and make tons of money from here.
Y'all can do the podcast outside.
Absolutely.
In a nice, warm background. Like, you know,
absolutely.
Like, it'll be nice.
It's 80 degrees right now.
Wow. I wish. I'm over here wearing a onesie. But
it's going to be 71 the low today. So
look at you. All right. Well, trying to get out of here. I'm trying to eat. And yeah, it was a good conversation, long conversation. We only got the 2 topics. I knew it was gonna be long, so I had to try to cut one of them. Maybe you won't come back. We can talk at a different time.
Absolutely. Let me know if your followers want me to come back. Let me know. I'll be more than willing.
Yeah,
happy.
They were engaged. They said you were very informative, very so definitely come back. Sometimes we have to have a serious conversation. Usually we have like fun conversations. Sometimes it's good to have serious talk because there are a lot of serious issues and things going on in the world that need to be talked about, and have positive dialogue, and and it's cool.
So for your next podcast, you might want to add the 31 M1 Abrams tanks that we're sending to Ukraine.
I know. I wanted to talk about that too.
So next time I could talk to you about that. That I know about.
Did you say the name? The Abrams?
The M1 Abrams tank.
Yeah, Abrams.
I almost got to drive one of those when I was in the Marines.
So it was not only us, but it in Germany.
Germany and somebody else. They sent the Leopard fighting vehicle, which is a badass war machine. It is bad. Like it doesn't stand up to the M1 Abrams, but the German Leopard tanks were the same ones they used during World War II that decimated the American tanks. That's another history lesson, dude.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love having conversations like this. I just, as long as people watch, like join in for the conversation. I just try to keep it like, 'cause I know people got things to do, but join in. Anyways, check us out: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, Facebook, all them. YouTube, everything. Like, share, subscribe, share with your mom, share with your daddy, share with your hookup, share with your side bitch, everything. Share with everybody. Share with your hookup. When they walk out the door, be like, here, subscribe.
Find me on TikTok.
Go ahead, Eli. Tell them where to find you.
Find me on TikTok at Eli_Garcia_PR.
Yeah.
Be part of that 15,500 revolution of followers that I got. Let's do this.
That's what I'm talking about. You got a lot of TikTok followers. I gotta look into that. Yeah,
I do go live on TikTok, and I can get 9,000-10,000 people in my lives. I do get invited to a lot of political lives on TikTok because I speak from the U.S. Code, which is the law of the land.
Yep.
the USC. So I use that. And when President Trump first got in trouble with the documents, and I just real quick, a lot of folks really asked me, what is the federal government doing? What can they do? What can't they do? Blah, 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 blah. And when I took them to the U.S. Code Section 117, it actually states the law says exactly what the government has to do, which is exactly what they're doing now. You have to research to make sure that nobody else did the same thing, so they can be able to charge everyone equally. It's not because you were the worst president or you were the best president, we're going to treat you separately. The law says that needs to be done. That's why Pence and Biden just said, come on, do whatever you need to do. I'll turn in whatever I have to do and let me know what the punishment is later.
Do you think
that's the difference?
Do you think Barack Obama has classified documents in his house?
We would have known by now.
So you're saying he doesn't have any?
Well, keep in mind that every president has a certain function once they leave the White House. Like some presidents deal with foreign trade, some presidents deal with foreign relations, other presidents deal with economic issues. So depending what shoe President Obama is filling as part of his ex-presidential duties, he might have access to certain documents.
Do you think he should? You think he should mention it now before, like, if it does come out, or should he?
If he has any, again, we would have already known, because President Obama is on everybody's hit list because he was the first African American president, and they want to demarket him as someone who can change how a community can move forward. We would have known by now.
Okay.
Trust me, we would have known by now. Trust me.
Eric's on. What's up, Eric?
Knowing Michelle, hearing the stories of Michelle, how strict she is.
Yeah.
As soon as Trump got caught, she probably went, Barry, do you have anything I need to know about? Because I'm not getting embarrassed by that. You know that.
Don't put us in front of the paper. You better say some shit right now.
Exactly.
Eric's on. He said, love you guys. We love you too, bro.
Love you too, Eric.
He said Jimmy Carter builds houses.
Yeah, so Jimmy Carter was the president in the 80s. In 1980, before Reagan took over. And his contribution to the American people is he volunteers for Habitat for Humanity. He does not have a security detail. Yep. And he still works his peanut farm daily.
Okay.
So that's a statesman. That's what you would call a statesman.
Okay. Nice.
You know? So.
This is the longest goodbye we've had.
I know, it's been like 3 hours.
All right. Thank you, everybody that watched tonight. Eli, thank you for being here.
Anytime,
we'll see everybody
sir.
next week, or have a good weekend. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.